great to see you. My name's Rod Hopkin. I'm the Head of Curriculum Reform of Welsh Government, and my job this morning is just really to sort of set the scene and then very much hand over to the discussion. Apologies for the slight dynamics here in terms of acoustics, so if anybody can't hear me, just put your hand up and I'll make sure I'll boom a bit more. So this workshop we're looking at specifically the curriculum and how our curriculum can ensure learning is inclusive, interesting, while also raising expectations. And just to set out a bit of an outline for the workshop, what we're going to look at is, first of all, I'm going to do a very, very brief update of some of the things that we are finding that are coming out of the research that we've currently commissioned, that the Minister talked a little bit about earlier, or referred to a little bit earlier, particularly Camera Dyfodol, which is our programme looking at progression, and Understanding by Design, which is our pilot looking at curriculum design. We'll be looking to expand that and build on that in the coming year or so. We're then going to have a discussion, particularly about progression, and we're particularly interested, I think, in the approaches you're taking, what further support you think is needed, as well as really coming back to the heart of that first question about how do we strike that balance, how do we ensure learning is engaging, it's inclusive, but is also raising expectations. And then that will lead us, I think, quite naturally into what this might mean for how we support schools together. So, in terms of what's coming out, I'm going to very, very briefly talk about some of the key things. And I think what's particularly interesting when we've commissioned this work, what's come out is, in one sense, nothing new. What has come out has reinforced and reflected some of the key principles that underpin the curriculum from the very beginning. But the way I've likened it to is often in terms of progression, we've talked about a spiral progression, spiral curriculum. In many ways, we as a system are on a sort of a spiral progression of our own. We're deepening our understanding of what the concepts within the curriculum mean, what they entail, what they imply, and what they look like practically in different applications and in different contexts. So the work that we've done, the research that we've done, that many of your staff will have been involved in, have come back to these sort of key principles which are outlined in the curriculum already, but as I say, we're learning in more detail what they mean. And the first is that the curriculum for Wales expects and requires a curriculum to be driven by purpose. And that meaning two things. And in many ways, the English is at a disadvantage of the Welsh here, because in Welsh we have two words for this. We have diben as the four purposes, and we have purpose relating to the purpose of learning. And from the very introduction of the curriculum, that draws out the importance of both. That all learning should have a line of sight to the four purposes. It should be contributing and supporting learners to engage with those four purposes and to progress in the ways described in them. But the curriculum guidance also talks about all learning having a clear purpose, that we shouldn't stop asking the question, why does specific learning matter? Why is that important? And why is that relevant specifically and particularly for learners? And certainly what's come out of both projects we've been looking at is the power and the potential for that question, why, to sharpen and empower specific learning and to develop that learning. And in many ways, really asking why learning matters helps make that learning more sophisticated. It helps understanding about what that might mean for learners, how that might apply practically, as well as how that might be the basis for progression. A classic example that we talked about during the development, during that research, was about quadratic equations. And understanding why quadratic equations might matter to learners, why quadratic equations are important, sharpens that learning, provides more clear contexts for how that learning might be applied for learners and how they can see the value of that learning and what really we're expecting learners to develop and understand in engaging with that, rather than it being, we've covered quadratic equations. The curriculum for Wales also expects the school's curriculum to focus on progression, and that progression being defined by learners' development, their personal development. And these are in particular drawn out in the principles of progression. We want learners to develop the breadth and the depth of their knowledge, the sophistication of their skills, and we want them to be able to apply that knowledge and skills in differing and a broadening range of contexts. But that progression being clearly defined by those principles of progression and the progression that learners themselves make, as opposed to progression being defined by any one specific assessment output or any one particular form of assessment, but rather a range of assessment then, and a range of assessment information becomes evidence that is drawn on by the professional in indicating rather than defining whether progression has been made and the extent of that progression. It then supports, and that curriculum for Wales expects a curriculum then to support, to choose a range of purpose-driven content to enable that progression within a national framework of expectations. And this, I think, is a really important point, and we've been doing a number of discussions across the country recently. And what's come out here, I think, in particular, and particularly through these projects, is the importance and the role of content in its right place. That obviously content is important. Curriculum for Wales doesn't diminish that, doesn't neglect that, but that content needs to be purpose-driven. It needs to have a clear understanding of why that matters, and it needs to be supporting broader progression for learners, that it becomes a vehicle rather than the end point. And then, of course, then that a range of assessment approaches are planned to indicate whether that progression is being made, as I say, rather than defining that progression. That the assessment information is evidence rather than a learner has attained a specific point at a particular assessment and therefore progressed. And these are concepts that are not, as I say, they're not new. They've been with us in terms of the curriculum development for years, but we're deepening our understanding of what these mean in practice and how we apply these, and particularly for us as Welsh Government, how we support schools to take these forward. So I'm going to hand over to Beth, who's going to talk particularly about Crownbridge.
Hi, I'm Bethan Moore, head teacher at Crownbridge School this morning. It's a whistle-stop tour. I've literally got a couple of minutes just to sort of the experience and the journey that we've had at our school from 2015, where we started our journey as a pioneer. Then we've been both in curriculum design projects and CAMI, but also more recently with the policy group. So we've had a lot of experience, and if I'm honest, we've been constantly refining, trialling things, looking at. So where Lloyd was just saying about the curriculum journey that we've had at Crownbridge, it's not finished. That curriculum's never finished, and the reason it's never finished is I'm a head of a special school, so we've got to constantly look at that cohort of children that we have that can change within the year, but also change yearly, but also what we can provide for those children that might need that bespoke curriculum. So we've got to be that effective, creative people that we might change things overnight. So that curriculum that we think we've designed for the last how many years is not finished, and we're completely refining it, evaluating it, and then planning forward of those next steps again. So just to give you a little context of school, to put in perspective, Crownbridge is the only special school in Torfaen. It's a small little local authority in Torfaen, but we provide an education for 130 pupils with a range of ALN needs. We've changed our cohort in the last 2 or 3 years, I would say, listening to the Minister this morning. We have had to adapt because we're taking a lot more pupils now that have ALN, but actually we're questioning that EBD and the emotional needs that some of those children need. So we've had to change rooms, our curriculum that was for the main body of our school goes right from Roots for Learning right up to progression step 3 or 4, where we do have children that leave school with GCSEs. So the range of curriculum design that we need to do does match some of your schools as secondaries. And one example, I suppose, that really sticks in my head, because I do oversee our outreach team in Torfaen as well, so we do work with a lot of our local comprehensives, is that provision and that progression that you've got to think about of what you want that child to progress in at that starting point, where you want them to leave, is how you then design that curriculum. And we've been agents of change, I suppose, at Crownbridge. How can we change? We've got to be positive. We've realised the curriculum for Wales and some of the change that we need. So one example of a pupil that I went to work in a secondary school, rugby. Classic PE, rugby's are the curriculum. We went to see this pupil that was running away every Wednesday. We couldn't get to the bottom of it. There was no logical reason. He went to every other lesson, when actually I sat down and spoke to him. He was misdiagnosed. He did have ASD, just wasn't diagnosed. Didn't want to get dirty. But when I actually spoke to the school, we can't change it. It's on the timetable. And actually, that's when we teach rugby. But actually, this young lad now is representing Wales in cross country. He just wanted to run. So when I said, well, I'll get my trainers, I'll come next week. We'll do some running around the rugby pitch while everybody else. But obviously, the resources a secondary school didn't have was somebody to be able to work with this pupil. I said, it's all right to let him run around the pitch. You can see where he is. He's quite happy. He's not running away. Wham bam, he is now representing Wales in long distance, because actually all he used to do every PE lesson was run around the pitch and practice long distance. So something simple that always sticks in my head, that actually timetabling, provision, that agents of change, we can change even in a secondary school. So our curriculum at Crown Bridge does reflect the vision of a national mission. It's created a curriculum that gives learners every equal opportunity. We have to at Crown Bridge. We can't say to a little boy, you know, you can't do GCSEs just because you can't manage in a classroom of 30 pupils. But actually, we've got 5 or 6, so let's make our own GCSE group in school. It's equity, and it goes in hand with the realisation of the curriculum for Wales. What's been massive for us at Crown Bridge, we don't just think what we do internally in school. The cluster work that the Minister talked about this morning is massive. I can go and work with my local cluster that's got secondaries, primary schools, early years, and then we've got that line of sight of what that 3 to 16 curriculum looks like. We work together at transition points. We work together with that little lad I was talking about. What can we make a difference? What resources can we use together in the cluster? And that's the check-in the point. Take the accountability away of the GCSEs and the exams. That's the check-in point with our cluster, that we can think that the school down the road that is a community first school, to the special school, to the comprehensive, how can we make sure that transition of what's gone really well through the primaries that is then going to go on to the secondaries, and most importantly beyond, when they leave the secondaries and then into their wider worldwide work. We also work with our cluster special schools, so we get the both ends of the wheels where we can check in from that point of view as well. So I feel that is really what's helped us as a school to be able to move on with our curriculum and make sure we're getting it right for our learners. Helping the curriculum ensure that we're talking about this morning in this group. We talk about this a lot. We always want all those children to be able to have that fiction and move, that line of progression that we plan in our schools. Simple. Cross the line, they're all making progression the same way. But the reality is, not just in a special school, in your schools as well, it's not linear, it's not fiction, it's not straight across, it is constantly changing. 1 minute they'll make the progression, something will happen, and then they'll go backwards, so that progression that you plan for does look really different. So the reality is, even with our learners, that it's not linear, it's not going to be, you've got to be constantly looking at that provision that you've designed within your curriculum. But most importantly, we didn't start with our curriculum design, we started with our progression. What do the progression look like in our school that's going to make those learners follow that curriculum design that we've got, and then the assessments are used to test that they are making the progression that they should be. And then, so what we did at Crown Bridge, and we're still refining it now, we're constantly changing it all the time, is that progress model. What does the progression look like? That's where we started. And what we came back to was that effective learner. So like Lloyd was saying, we could look at everything we've got to teach them through the matter statements, through the progression steps, through everything. But actually, why are we teaching that? Why are we assessing? Why are we using those assessments? We've thrown a load of assessments we used to use out, and we've gained new ones, because what we want it to be is meaningful for the children that we've got in front of us. So we don't use one assessment model, we use a holistic approach at Crown Bridge, and we talk about that holistic toolbox of what teachers can go to assess those pupils depending on what model they follow at Crown Bridge. So we've got 3 pathways, and they all then, we track them to find out where they are in that model of curriculum design. And then what we do is that the pre-formal learners that are all in routes, we use the enabling pathways for that pre-progression step 1 before they get to progression step 1, and then we go on to the progression step and on then to their qualifications. And then what we do is the teachers, there's a range of assessments that they know that they can go to help them get on those pathways, and then they're able to learn the progression that they need to. And I suppose just to finish really, is really that 3 drivers, we call it at Cranbridge School. They've got to have those enabling adults, those enabling experiences and enabling environments. If we change any one of those E's, that's when we find challenging behaviour. That's when we find that they don't meet the progression that we've planned for them. That's when we find they don't achieve the curriculum that we've designed for them. So say for example a change of room, a change of adult, a change of provision, we find that if we move one of those E's, then that's when we find challenging behaviour. So we go back to, are we providing them that enabling adult? Are they actually being taught the best way they can be by that teacher? Is the environment the best place? And are we providing the right experiences at that level that those children need? So that rugby, you know, he was never going to succeed in rugby, but because it was on the timetable, but actually look at the progress he's made, and he's become an international star, earning much more money than I am. Is this little bit, using those external agencies. If we didn't have those external agencies at Cranbridge, we wouldn't be able to run the curriculum that we do. So don't be frightened to go out, speak to your outreach team, speak to your local colleagues. Like I said, that cluster work is so important, but actually who else can you dip into to help with that bespoke curriculum that you might need to provide for some of your pupils?
Thank you, Beth. So we're just going to introduce you now to some of the resources for you to be able to have a conversation on your tables. So one of the things, the feedback we quite often have is people quite often get lost in hook. So there are 3 things that we're going to point you towards this morning. At the very top of the Curriculum for Wales page, you will see the supporting materials page, where we've specifically tried to condense an awful lot of that guidance so they're manageable resources that you can use in staff meetings. At the very bottom of that same page, you will also have the Understanding of the Curriculum Camaya Dyfodol project. And we've just brought some of the resources with us today to give you a snapshot of what it is that's in there and ask you to use some of those. And you'll also find a playlist based on a pilot project that we conducted last academic year about practical curriculum design and how that's able to support. So what we've done is we've just popped a couple of those things onto your tables. So what you will find is here we've got group 4 looking at the culture and mindset for progression. We've got the group over there, I believe, is curriculum coherence, really starting to think about what that curriculum design is looking like now and how that coherence with the national mission will start to formulate as those children move through the school. We've got one all about creating curricula. So that idea of Curriculum for Wales proudly talks about that development, that child development, that process-orientated curriculum. What does that mean in your schools and your settings for leadership, for classroom pedagogy, for the way in which curriculum is designed? And we also have one around learning and teaching and thinking about that from an assessment or a performance idea. So what you'll find on your tables is one of those 4 resources. And what we're going to ask you to do for around 10 minutes time is to just have a look at some of those resources, get a feel for what they are, and you will find some questions on there. Please take that time to have that discussion with colleagues on your table, and if you do feel the need to jot anything down, we've just popped a little sheet on there for you to start thinking about what do you need to start, what would you like to stop, what do you find interesting, but further supports that you may need. And we're going to come around and join you on your tables. I'm particularly interested about what further support you need. So please have a look at the time. We're going to give you about 10 minutes and then we're going to have a bit more of a discussion.